In today's episode, we are rediscovering the why. And are we actually doing things because of the people around us, because of the environment that we're in, because of society, or even just simply because of social media? And also diving into how everything is not exactly what it seems on the forefront, but where have I been these last few months and what are some amazing things that I've been up to? And also I talk about why is it important to be uncomfortable and how your lack of ability or wants or okay or willingness of being uncomfortable is actually holding you back and held me back for quite some time. We're talking about all of this and more in today's episode, and the first episode of season 2 of Never Done Branding, the podcast. Is this thing going? Is this thing recorded? Welcome to Never Done Branding, a podcast that's on all things entrepreneurship, and not just the glitz and glam that you're used to seeing on Instagram. From branding and marketing to even interviews with entrepreneurs, we're getting real to help you increase your brand, sales, and impact. So, are you ready to be the brand? With me, your host, Nasir Joachim, brand and marketing strategist. So let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to season 2 of Never Done Branding, the podcast. If you are a loyal listener and you are back, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And if this is your first time hearing my voice or seeing my face because you're following us over on YouTube, then make sure you give us a follow wherever you are listening to this podcast. But for an even better experience, head over to YouTube and subscribe over on YouTube because you'll be able to see the visual of it all. So I am super freaking excited about season 2, and guys, I'm sorry. It has taken a while, and it's taking a lot longer than I anticipated to do season 2 for this podcast, but a lot of it is to blame on myself. And it's a thing that I really tell my clients not to do, but then yet I've done it myself. And it's so easy for me to help other people through that, but it's hard to do that for yourself. And you know, the thing that a lot of people say is that coaches should have coaches. Child, it's definitely true. So yeah, I'm sorry that it's taken a while for me to come back, but I'm back and we are back better than ever. I have some new series that I'll be introducing later on in today's episode, so make sure you stick around. And you have also the opportunity to choose which series you like the most. And I'll do more episodes around that series. And yeah, because Never Done Branding is here to help you be the brand. But before we jump into today's full episode, I wanted to do something a little different that I was not doing on my solo episodes before, which I really should have been, because I was asking my guests what are they grateful for, but yet I wasn't reflecting on what I was grateful for. Am I just calling myself out to be a hypocrite this whole fucking episode? I don't know, but let's get into it. It's time for Attitude for Gratitude. Attitude for Gratitude. So if you are a loyal listener of the podcast, you may have heard my guest episodes where I do Attitude for Gratitude, because I really think as an entrepreneur, you should be grateful for everything that you have. This journey of being an entrepreneur is not easy whatsoever, and gratitude is so important, and it's the epitome to be able to get you to that success that you're destined for, right? And so I had to think to myself, why are you not reflecting on what you're grateful for? Let's make it happen. So today, what am I grateful for? Truly, I'm grateful for life. A lot of things have really perspired over the last few months within my life, and it's been amazing. And it's been something that my inner self, I feel like, needed, and it's really helping me to be able to get out of my shell, but also uncover things that I didn't really notice or recognize before. You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful for life because I've been able to start rebuilding, I guess, the foundation and the relationship that I have with my family. My dad and I, you know, if you've listened to that podcast, we've had like a rocky relationship, mainly centered around my sexuality. And then my stepmom, her and I would have been close even when I was little. I've known her since I was in like, Lord Jesus, I think like fourth grade. So she's practically my mom. But, even though I don't talk to my actual mom, to kind of decipher when I'm talking shit about my mom versus when I'm giving praise to my stepmom, I usually like to specify that it's my stepmom. But we have the same last name. So if anything, she's my mom. But anyways, I digress. It's just been amazing to be able to be with them. That my dad came down here to see my play that I was in, which I'm so grateful for that play. But child, not everything is what it seems on the forefront whatsoever. But I'm so grateful for that play because my character was talking about his sexuality and people, being hypocrites and, so much in everybody else's business and what they're doing rather than focusing on their own lives, and just how we should just love one another no matter what we are necessarily going through, and don't shame me for your sin or whatever the case is, right? And so he really realized that character was speaking directly to him. And my scene where I got super emotional and things like that, I may put it in this episode.
But I don't owe you or anybody else an explanation on what I do behind my closed doors.
My point exactly. Do you think that I can control who I'm attracted to? Do you think that I want to be ridiculed, mocked, and discriminated against? I am who I am. Love it or hate it, I really don't give a damn. But what I do know is that I will not be subjected to your self-righteous, judgmental bullshit.
If you didn't like it, then you could have quit.
Okay. I'll quit. Oh, and since we're here, I might as well help you out a little bit. You wear the wrong color foundation, your little lace front thing? Yeah, lifts in the front. Now I quit.
But I got so emotional because I could really tap into that emotion of, this is me, you know what I mean? And this is what I needed to speak to my dad directly. So it was amazing. And I felt like that really brought us together in a way, because even after that play is where he met my boyfriend for the first time and has never met any of my boyfriends. And Lord knows I've had quite a bit of situationships, but, it is his first time, and also met his mom and sister. And then we also went to dinner the next day with all of my sisters, including the one that is not related to my dad, and my boyfriend, my stepmom, and my dad. And it was a great dinner. It was amazing. And then from there, my birthday just passed, which I have not celebrated a birthday with him in years. And I went up to New York, and they came to New York for a day, and they stayed at our hotel. We all went out to dinner at a rooftop. I got to see my uncle that I haven't seen in like 15 years. Like, it was absolutely amazing to be at that table and having my family all together there, because that's all I feel like I've ever really wanted. I felt like the black sheep of the family, the one that's, outspoken, the one that's, very vibrant, the one that's gay. You know what I mean? Like, I've always felt like the outsider of my family, but that weekend and my birthday made me feel a little bit closer with them, because I was able to get to know my sisters a little bit more, because they're older now. Like, when I lived with them, they were still babies. So it's like, now they have personalities. Now they, one of them lives in my own old room. So it was nice to get to know my family, and also made me to realize how much like my dad I am than I actually want to admit. Which then led me down like a rabbit hole of like the origins of why we do certain things, and what, are we doing it because we're passionate about it, or is it because we're accustomed to it based on people or our surroundings? Like a whole rabbit hole of a situation. So I'm just super grateful for my family and for them being in my life. And that was just such an amazing weekend to be able to spend it with my boyfriend, with them, and them love me unconditionally. So to say all of that to say is that I am grateful for life. And that's what's been going on for the past few months. And it's been making me recognize am I doing things for me and my why, or am I doing it just because I might be good at it, just because someone else wants me to do it, just because it comes natural to me and it's easy and it keeps me in my comfort zone? You know what I mean? Or it was an opportunity that was thrown into my lap. And then I saw this TikTok that we're gonna like go through here in this podcast today. So if you are not subscribed over on YouTube, head over to YouTube so that you can be able to see visually and subscribe so that you get notified anytime a new episode comes out. Because I will be releasing a new episode on Mondays and Wednesdays. Yes, that's right. Mondays and Wednesdays. So make sure you are subscribed over on YouTube because I'm going to have my amazing entrepreneur friends come onto the podcast. I have a new series that I'm going to be showing to you guys in just a little bit, and I'm just excited. Okay, so this TikTok really made me think about just what's my why. You know what I mean? My life. I love to reflect on things in my life, not to be living and stuck in the past, because there's a huge difference, but really to analyze the things that have happened in my life and learn from those experiences to get me to the next level. Where a lot of you may need to stop thinking of things and it's holding you back from getting to the next level. Use those struggles and use those things within your life to learn from, to create what you actually want and you deserve and you desire. You know what I mean? And so this episode is really about me discovering my why. And I had to do that by myself, to myself. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when people come onto social media and they just like trauma dump and they just don't deal with the things that they've gone through within their lives. And they come onto the internet and they're all this stuff and they haven't even dealt with it themselves. And now you're taking into consideration opinions that don't even matter. Like, I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous. And people really need to start dealing with things on their own. And then you can bring it to the internet and take other people's opinions into consideration. Not even into consideration, really, but just for entertainment, I guess. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And that's what you have to remember. And if you are really going to be a brand, because that's why you're listening to this podcast, because you want to be a brand. You want to be the person that's calling me shots. You want to have the person that's creating something, not just for you, but for all of the people and the generations behind you that you're laying the path down for, right? And so I had to really think again of what is my why? And this TikTok video really like spoke directly to me. Like she was like pointing at me. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen really fast. And also let me know in the comments too, as you're watching this video, if like you can also relate to this. And maybe even your experiences within your life that makes a connection to this. Cause it's like she read me from A to Z. That's how I felt. So let's get into it.
You're scared of your potential. You've achieved a lot of success in your career and you know that you're capable of so much more. But you're terrified to see what you're actually made of. Because as a high-achieving, multi-passionate generalist, you are so used to being sought after. For you, opportunities materialize seemingly out of nowhere.
And this right here, hold on,
You are very accustomed to achieving success pretty easily.
And this is the thing that I didn't necessarily recognize for myself until like seeing this. Like this is kind of crazy, but it made me kind of think about like throughout my life, all of my different eras that I've gone through and all of the different levels of success that I've had, from the hospitality industry, from sports, to even school at some points. All of those things I was successful at and I did well because it was handed to me and I just performed and I was able to do it. You know what I mean?
That success is a result of you being handed a predefined scope. When you are sought out for an opportunity, the resources you need to take action are provided for you up front. Given those resources, you know exactly how to ace it because you
And this That was a word. Given those resources, you know exactly how to ace it. And that is me to a T. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it's a long and it could be a tough journey. And you're building things from zero. So there's a lot of mental things that you have to work through and that I've had to work through to be able to say, is entrepreneurship even necessarily for me? But seeing a video like this makes me realize that, yes, it is for me, but it's a different feeling that's outside of my comfort zone that I'm not used to because I'm used to being good at everything. And it might sound cocky to you, especially if you're insecure. And that's been another thing that I've had to deal with within my life that has made me think myself. It's the projection of insecurities from other people. It's because I know that I'm the shit, but other people don't know that they're the shit. And when you come off like, oh yeah, I'm great. I'm good at this. I can do that. I can do this. Other people are jealous of that. And you can't let that hurt you or overshadow you or be projected onto you. And so this right here, let's go back.
Thrive on challenge, you're a creative problem solver, and you know how to navigate the gray area. If they set the dominoes up, you can knock them down. And that has served you incredibly well in your career, but that's your double-edged sword. Because while you know exactly how to take a predefined scope and run with it, you don't know how to get from 0 to 1. You don't know how to.
In this, girl, she's so right. So right. And since I can do so many things, I can help in so many areas. I become an octopus or I become butter because I'm spreading my ass way too fucking thin. You know what I mean? And so it's hard for me to then get to Z to where I need to be. And I've had to pause so many different times throughout my life when it comes to my own things and my creativity from within, but I can go hard for someone else and something else because it comes natural to me. It's easy for me. But it's hard to build from A to Z because of the creativity that comes around it and the uncomfortness that I feel and that you may feel and that we feel as entrepreneurs. But it's what you have to go through to then become comfortable. Because when you have the resources and when you have the tools, because you've taken the time to map out the brand, to map out the marketing plan, to put the systems together, to understand what you are doing and who you are helping and what your product or service is solving, it will come naturally.
How to create and execute a vision for you, by you. And that's why your career feels so dichotomous. Because on one hand, you have an incredible track record of success that you're proud of. You've had a lot of exciting opportunities and you look aces on paper. Not to mention, your golden handcuffs are shining like a diamond. But on the other hand, you keep finding yourself unfulfilled. You're challenged, but you're never challenged enough. You've had really cool opportunities, but you don't have the freedom you need to thrive. You can get excited about any novel experience, but without a sense of purpose or meaning that's aligned with what you actually care about, it inevitably falls flat. You become disengaged once the novelty or the challenge wears off. And because you're the person who can fill any gap and wear any hat, you're a go-to individual. And as
this whole thing has been a word, and it's been what I've been going through within my life recently with rediscovering what I actually want to do, who I am, right? Understanding, is this what I want to do because I'm good at it and it was handed to me as an opportunity? Or is it what I actually want to do and it's my passion? Or also, then I think about how can I just learn from all of these things and then move forward in the direction that feels authentic to myself? But the only way that I can understand what's authentic to myself is by me actually understanding who the fuck I am. And you can only do that by pausing and taking the time to look within. And a lot of you guys that may be watching this or listening to this episode, you might be saying, you know what, bitch? You're right. You're right. I'm afraid to look within. But love, baby girl, you have to. You have to. Because how do you think you're going to navigate this experience that we call Earth without you actually understanding yourself and being able to navigate yourself? You can't. You absolutely can't. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back on today's episode. If you're enjoying today's episode, don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. And leave us a review because I want to hear from you and know what you think of the show. And I just may shout you out in my next episode for our community spotlight. And lastly, don't forget to share this with your friends, family, whatever entrepreneur that you know will get value from this show. So let's get back into today's episode. So far in today's episode, we have been talking about rediscovering yourself and understanding the why and understanding who you are. And are you actually doing these things because of yourself or the experience and the people that are actually around you? And when I look at my different eras of my life, from being in the hospitality industry, that was something that came very easy to me. Within the first week, I was running my own shift by myself. And then I ended up training. When I left, and I was only there for like 3-4 months. I was saving up money to move to Atlanta. So I was working like 2 jobs. I trained the person that was replacing me after working there for 3 months. And then I also worked at Starbucks. I picked up stuff just like that. Super easy. And it was millions of drinks that we had to know. And that was back when Starbucks, you was writing on the cup. Like legit, you would have to need to know what CW meant or CM meant, and then 2 shots, milk. Like you had to basically read the cup to know what the order actually was. And if you didn't know it, then you wouldn't have actually got the drink right, I guess. Yeah, right. And so that era that moves me into, I was like, oh, I was good at hospitality. I love this. Went, opened up a hotel, and Atlanta was a part of the opening team with the Fairfield, and I did great at that, to the point to where the Marriott's trainers said, you need to watch out for him because he's going to be your star front desk person. And I was because I knew what I was doing. Things caught up quick. And so when I went to another hotel, I said I was a manager because they didn't give me the opportunity. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But as much as I worked my ass off, they didn't give me the opportunity that I needed. They ended up hiring an AGM rather than another front office manager when ours left so that he can do less work. So then I was still at the front desk. I went over to another place, said I was a manager already because, I've helped them build their scores. I was doing manager activities without the actual title. Bitch, I'm putting the title on here. And I got the title at another place. And then that led me into then doing task force, where I traveled around the country to assist different hotels around the United States, from San Jose, California to Baltimore, Maryland, to where else? Colorado, Grand Junction, actually it was Gateway, Colorado, to, Houston, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what I mean? These are accomplishments. To take it back to that video, these are all accomplishments that came so easy to me because I was good at, I'm good at things. When you give me a framework, or I can look at something and fix it, make it better, polish it a little bit, that's where my expertise lies. Or when I can create something with you, that's where my expertise lies. That's why I'm a branding and marketing strategist. That's why I love helping people create things and build things, because that's your vision and your bones of something. I can help you put the soul and the body to it, right? Because that's where my expertise lies. I'm a strategist, and I've been able to do this within the corporate space. Because then after task force, I said, I'm getting tired of traveling. I'm getting tired of traveling, not know where I'm going next. Yes, this is fun because I had a great time, but I needed to take a rest. So I ended up going to a hotel. Front office manager was their very first front office manager. So I set the expectations there. I put the checklist in place. I put the strategies in place. I raised the revenue. I raised the scores. I raised the surveys, right? and then became the assistant general manager after I saved my hotel from fucking flooding. Like legit, the day before my interview for the assistant general manager position, one of my employees was fixing, the maintenance guy was fixing the toilet in the bathroom, and the thing freaking broke off. Like it was shooting out water violently at the wall. Like I felt like I was in a fucking movie. Like he's holding the trash can up on it to prevent it from like shooting at the glass. Because if it kept doing it, it would have probably broke it at some point. You know what I mean? And so the whole lobby is flooded with water everywhere. Like I think like 3 inches of water. And we're trying to figure out, and literally our chief maintenance guy just left the hotel. Like he got another job. And he just left like a week or so ago. So we didn't know where the valve was. It turns out the water was shooting out of was the valve. So we had to shut the water off to the whole building. I had to call him and say, hey, I know you don't work here anymore, but where's the main valve? Because I don't know where it's at. And then I go shut it off. We clean everything up. But afterwards, I'm sitting, and remind you, I was the front office manager at that time. My GM, she was at a training with our regional. And then my AGM, he was just standing there looking stupid because he was about to leave anyway in a few weeks because he was resigning. And he already put in his 2 weeks. It's just sitting there looking stupid. So I had to take charge. I had to say, hey, ladies in the laundry, come help us clean up this water. And we had everything cleaned up in 3 hours to the point where guests was like, damn, you wouldn't even have known this lobby was just flooded. And luckily, no guests were coming. It was like during our slow time, within like, check in the day. And no guests came through that much. I think it was like 3 or 4 guests, but it was a mess. But afterwards, I felt like I did something wrong because I should have known where the valve was. And this is what we do within our lives. We do amazing things, but then we focus on the negative and don't give ourselves credit for what we've actually done. Why? Why the hell should I have known where the valve was? I was a front office manager at that time. I don't need to know where the valve, the main water line is within the building. My territory is my front desk. And I've aced it. And yes, I'm going after the assistant general manager position, but knowing where the valve is, like the main valve, I don't need to know where that is, but what did I do? I saved my hotel from fucking drowning and becoming even worse of a situation because it was getting bad. Water was down the hall, all up in the bar area. It was a mess. And right before that interview, and when I sat down for that interview, guess what? The president of the company and my regional told me, oh, you already have the position. We just want to know where do we need to help you with when it comes to maybe budgeting, when it comes to ordering things, when it comes to the bar, because you'll be the direct manager over that. But you already have the job. Because things come natural for me. But they come natural for me. Is it because I want to do them? Or is it because at that time I feel like I need to? Or I wanted to continue to climb this corporate ladder from being a front desk person, helping in housekeeping sometimes, to now being the youngest assistant general manager to work for Marriott. And I've traveled around the US where there are people in their 50s and 60s that wish they had the career that I had. And I got that career within 4 or 5 years, right? And now starting this new thing called entrepreneurship is totally different, and it's a different feeling. And that's why I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And also being myself. And that's where I had to remember and think about, who am I? And I had to revisit, who am I as a person? So that I can be authentically myself. Because even when it comes to social media, so many people show up not authentically themselves or just a curated version. And yes, I can be a curated version online, but that's not what I want. It's not sustainable enough. It's going to burn you out, and it's burned me out. The times that I try to be catered to and to look a certain way or be a certain way for other people. And yes, I may have said that, I don't care about other people's opinions. I don't care about other people's thoughts. But at the end of the day, most of us, we still do. If it's just a little bit or it's a lot of it. Because especially when you're in marketing, you kind of have to care what people think of you. When you're in branding, you kind of have to care what people think of you because you need to know where you fit and where you lie within the marketplace, right? And so in a way, yes, I've had to take other people's feelings and thoughts into consideration about myself. And that has hindered me in some ways because it's made me feel like, oh, I should be further in this new area of entrepreneurship. because it came so easy for me in sports. Even when I was a swimmer, I went from being the worst swimmer on my team, where I was getting disqualified for every time I did the 100 back because I could not get the fact that you just streamline into the wall and on the last lap, you don't flip over, to then being the best swimmer on my team outside of Hannah. I would say the best male swimmer, because Hannah was stunning, phenomenal. And I became the best swimmer on my team then the next season because I worked my ass off that summer on a summer swim team that I asked my dad to pay money for me to wake up at 6 a.m. almost every day in the summertime to swim outside, even when it was raining outside, with all these white people. I was literally the only Black person on the team. I think there was like a little Black boy and also a little Black girl too on the team, but I never practiced with them because obviously it was the older people that we are practicing. To then, even that summer, then being one of the people that they relied on because I became even better. I was swimming with the people that were older than me in the older lanes. I was a sophomore. I'm swimming with the seniors. Well, I was going into sophomore year. It was like my freshman year. Swimming with the seniors, the people that are 18, to then come back and then be one of the best people on my team, right? And so everything just came naturally to me. Even when it comes to this play that I was recently just in, this play was handed to me. She saw me on TikTok and she said, "Hey, do you happen to act?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I actually have a musical theater background, so I act and dance." She asked me to submit a tape. I submitted the tape. She said, "You got it." And I was in the play, and I wasn't even looking to be in a play. I was, because I was talking to my boyfriend about wanting to be back on stage and be performing because that's my true passion. And that's what I love so much. And you can have multiple passions within your life, right? And so I was like, let me get back on stage. And this just landed right in my lap, and changed everything for me. It's what I needed, even though everything was a mess behind the scenes. And I can give y'all that story for another time because it was a mess. She was a narcissistic, crazy ass bitch that lost like 3 friends within the process that she was friends with for like 10 and 15 years, and then tried to gaslight us in the process, and then got into it with the stylist because she told the stylist that she didn't want anybody else to look better than her. And then everybody else ended up upstaging her because we found out behind the scenes, and she didn't realize that we all know that she was talking shit about us. And we all know that you're a narcissistic, crazy bitch. And you know what? We're going to go out here and slay the house down. And guess what? She's doing the play again, and she didn't hire anybody that came from the previous time. Anybody besides like 2 people that really, I'm gonna keep that to myself. But it was a crazy mess, right? But I'm so grateful for it because I needed to be in that situation. We ended up fucking upstaging her. People ended up loving my character more than hers. If anything, people were laughing at her character, which I think she meant to write it from the villain's point of view because of, but my character was a standout because I curated the whole plot of the play. And I went out there and did the best performance I've ever freaking done, from rehearsal to dress rehearsal. When I got onto that stage that night, I did the best that I ever freaking did. And my dad was was there to see it, right with my boyfriend, right with my sister and his mom and his sister, was able to be right there and see this, me be in my element. I choreographed a number in it. I danced in it, and I also acted. So I am so grateful for it, but I'm still going to call out the fact that those things right there are reasons why I push myself from being at my full potential, because I know what the fuck I can do. I know what I can do. But I let the politics of things get in my way. But now I realize that you can do things on your own. Like this podcast, this is step 1. This is step 1 to me getting to my overall big goals for not just me, but also for you. Because I know at the end of the day, it takes a village. It takes a community. And we all have each other no matter what. Entrepreneurship is not something that is easy, and it's not something that is comfortable by any means. But it's something that we can all do and work on together and be together, right? And so me taking this time to really think about myself and rediscover myself and understand my why and my objective. And does my why actually suit well with me? Is my why really my why? Or is it my surroundings why? Or the people around me why? Or social media's why? Or society's why? You know? And those are things that I have to think about. And it's not an easy thing. It really isn't. And you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. But I advise you to take the fucking pause. And then when you take that pause, come back with a vengeance. We'll be right back. Are you an entrepreneur and really looking for a community to help hold you accountable and keep you going? And you may just be getting started and don't necessarily have the funds to join a paid community like Never Done Branding University, where now you can join my free text community, where you'll get notified for any resources, new podcast episodes, and so many things to help you level up your brand, sales, and impact. Just text the word tribe to 470-333-7590. There would just be a quick form for you to fill out, but once you do, you'll be right on our text community and get our exclusive text messages. Can't wait to have you a part of the community. You better brace yourself for a new season of the podcast and a new era. That's what they're calling it nowadays, the era of Never Done Branding, because this is about to be so much fun. One of the biggest things is that I was having a struggle with is actually not getting bored. And I know you can relate to like doing something and just getting bored. And I was like, how do I spice this up to, one, get you involved, but also to not be bored my damn self by consistently talking about entrepreneurship or consistently talking about myself or consistently, you know what I mean? Or consistently, So we have a new series, as you can see here on the podcast. So we're going to be releasing new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. Monday is going to be Let's Get Learning. So it's going to be series and segments that are all about learning. Our first one is Never Done Teaching. Sorry, I said never done teaching. It's definitely never done learning. But never done learning is where I'm going to take a topic like email marketing, like creating systems, like what is the best editing softwares, those kind of things, how to grow on social media, how to grab a presence, how to make a marketing strategy. These are going to be things that I talk about, and we're really going to break down, and I'm going to teach you throughout. So like I said, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe over on YouTube, because you're going to want to be able to see the visual aspect of Never Done Learning, okay? Especially when I'm talking about putting systems in place, or I'm using softwares. I'm going to be screen sharing for you guys and showing you exactly how I create marketing strategies, how I build a marketing campaign, or how I put systems in a business and automation and use AI to assist you, all of that. And then the next aspect of Let's Get Learning is the brand breakdown. The brand breakdown is where I'm going to be taking a personal brand or a business brand, and we're going to be figuring out, is this successful branding? Is this shitty branding? Or just lucky branding, okay? And we're really going to be dissecting the start of a brand to where they are now, to see how did they actually get there and how you can maybe learn from their experiences and input it into your business or your brand along your entrepreneur journey to be able to help you get to where you want to be and where you're destined to be. Our next series is going to be on Wednesdays, which is Let's Get Personal. So this is going to be topics where I get personal about things in my life and my learning experiences, and also bringing on guests, my star friend entrepreneurs, to interview them to learn from their experiences and see how you can take what we've gone through and learn from that, or help you think and ponder on things in your life to help you through it. Because we can't always just only get our perspective on things when it comes to building a business or growing. Now, when it comes to dealing with trauma, yes, you want to make sure that you're dealing with that shit on your own and not taking other people's opinions that aren't necessarily warranted. But sometimes listening to a podcast like this along your journey of being an entrepreneur is going to help you really realize that one, we go through a lot of the same similar situations, but also two, you can learn from our situations and our experiences that you may have not known before that you're struggling with right now and how to get through them. So our first series on Wednesdays is Branding Nasir.
Nails, hair, hips, heels, ass, fat, lips, real, purse, full, big bills, bitch, I'm a big deal.
Bitch, I'm a big deal. So I'll be taking different parts of my life, maybe a topic about when I was assigned to a talent agency or growing up in Philly, in Delaware, or, being a hotel manager or relationships, and really getting personal with you guys so you can get to know me a little bit more and why I know what the fuck I'm doing. And really building this community with you guys, because I'm sure there's a lot of things that I've gone through that you've probably gone through yourself, and how we can work together with our stories and with our trials and tribulations to really move forward, right? And to grow as better individuals. And not do it in a way that feels shameful, and not do it in a way that feels guiltful. You don't need to feel guilty about anything. I don't feel guilty or ashamed of nothing that I've done in my damn life, because it's life is life. And that's the thing that I hate most about religious institutions, is the guilt behind it. Shit, I might make a joke about something or two, but it's fun and games that's played in that, right? It's shade. That's the thing I love most about the LGBT plus AI community. Is that we know how to joke around and know how to laugh at something that might have been painful or hurt at some point, and know how to, just find the light and the beauty in things without, always just taking things so damn fucking personal. Because in today's world, people take everything so fucking personally. And that's part of what also holds me back, because I am a triggering personality. If you are an insecure individual, I'm not the person that you necessarily want to be friends with or be around, because I am a triggering personality, because I am always going to be myself, because I'm always going to stand in my power. I'm always going to stand in my confidence. And we could do it together. But if you're insecure, you're not going to be able to see how we can do that together, right? I even was at this soul care self-care Sunday. I forgot exactly how she named it. But this girl Jael that was in the play that I was in, which I met some amazing people being a part of that play. Yes, the director and the writer was but I met some amazing cast members that I'm so grateful for today, that are doing the damn thing, that are in TV shows, that are in movies, that have huge followings, that are doing the thing, that knows their destinations, that's working there, that's, doing it. So, she has this thing called Self-Care Sunday that she does I think the first Sunday. And I might bring her here on the podcast as well. But we went into the park, and one of the guys there, as we were talking for a little while, one of the guys then brought up, he said, you're somebody that I wouldn't even typically like. And I would maybe even talk shit about. But I realized that it's because of my own insecurity. And I realized it's because you're giving so much off that I wish that I may have been at. And so it makes me a little uncomfortable, but I had to check myself and realize. And it was amazing to have that kind of conversation literally in real time. Because when I first gave him a hug, because I'm a person, I'm hey, when I'm in my extrovert bubble and I'm in my extrovert bag, I can, hey, how y'all doing? How's it going? Yada, yada, yada. And when I gave him a hug, hold on one second, my laptop is about to die. But when I give him that hug, you know how you can feel somebody's energy and realize they're like, something's a little off here. And that's what I felt. And with him saying that, it was amazing to see that in real time, because I know about myself. I know I can be a trigger personality, and I can help people walk through it, because I'm a lot to deal with. But at the same time, is it really a lot? Because I'm just being me. And we can work together to see how we can be each other and just be ourselves within the same spaces, right? And I always have this happen to where, people don't want to be friends with me, or, people want to talk shit or things like that. But then they come around later and they say, you know what, bitch, you was right. Because I'll never be that friend that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And if you're not in that space right at that moment and at that time to necessarily recognize that that's something that you need to hear, that's fine. Then the friendship or the relationship will dissolve. But then they come back around and they say, you know what, bitch, you was right. And I'm going to be like, yes, I know it was right. So let's talk about it. Because that's another thing about me. I'm not just going to act like nothing happened. We're going to talk about it. And if it makes you uncomfortable, that's fine. What did I say in the beginning of this episode? Be uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sit in that uncomfort, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned within that comfort and being, uncomfortable. And so the last series here on the podcast that is on Wednesdays is branding my guests. I don't necessarily have a thing for that, like an intro thing that you saw with the others, but that is all the series. And you guys, as the podcast goes along, as we continue to grow and more episodes come out, let me know within the comments what series you like most. Is it the brand breakdown? Is it branding Nasir? Is it branding a guest? Is it never done learning? Let me know, and I'll do more episodes around that specific series, so that y'all get what y'all want and what you need to level up what you need. But I'm just so grateful to be back. I'm so grateful for what I've learned over these last few months, and realizing that all of my errors, all of my different errors, as you saw the different pictures of me within branding Nasir, that intro, those are all of my little different errors. And I've taken something from each one of those errors and said, who is me today? What did I learn from all of these eras and these phases in my life that has now made me into what I am today, that has brought me to where I am today and what I'm destined to be, right? And that's what, if you take anything away from today's episode, take away the power of the pause. Now, don't pause too long to overthink yourself into a fucking corner, but take the pause to dissect and understand yourself and get a little uncomfortable. But it's going to be the best thing for you in the long run, right? It's going to be the best thing for you in the long run. I seriously appreciate you guys so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure you follow us on all platforms at neverdonebranding_pod. And also leave down in the comments what you thought of today's episode. And also, did you resonate with that TikTok that I showed you guys earlier? Because she read me from A to Z, and that's not even the full video, but I'll make sure that I put the link of that video within the captions. But remember to just don't be afraid to actually reflect on the past and understand the origins of why you do things and how to use these things to your advantage to get what you want in the future. So remember, my name is Nasir and I'm never done branding, and neither should you. Thank you for coming back for season 2, because season 1 was stunning. We listened to in 22 different countries. We've been, had amazing guests on the podcast, from Emmy-nominated executive producers, Lord Jesus, to Victoria's Secret models, to 6-figure earners, to 7-figure earners, to people that have hosted events with Barack Obama and Viola Davis. This season is going to be even better. So like I said, make sure you subscribe on YouTube so that you get notified anytime we do post a new episode that is on Monday and Wednesdays, and follow us and leave us a review on your favorite listening platforms. And once again, remember, my name is Nasir Joachim and I'm never done branding, and neither should you. I'll see you in the next one. I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. If you made it this far, you're stunning. I hope you got some value to take away to apply to your business and or life. And don't forget to rate and leave the show a review because I want to hear from you. And you may just end up being my next community spotlight. And also become a loyal listener by subscribing on YouTube and your favorite listening platforms wherever you listen to this podcast. Then once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.